Welcome to Clarity. I'm Lucy, and this is episode 1. And I want to start with manifestation because it's something I see people are either obsessed with or completely disheartened by. And I get it because for a long time I was in that place too, where I was like, why does this feel so easy for some people and come so easily to people, but then it's so impossible for others? You can do all of the journaling, the affirmations, the visualizing, the vision boards, and still feel like nothing is actually changing. And I had a real epiphany about why the other day. It was on the new moon in Capricorn in January, as I was manifesting. I want to say this first though. Manifestation has become very materialistic online. It's become about getting things, a new car, a house, money, the dream life, whatever it may be. And I'm not judging that because, like I said, I've wanted those things too in the past. But what I noticed is the more I worked on myself, the less I cared about the stuff, the materialistic things. And the more I cared about the version of me that I was becoming. And that's the point. That's what this episode is about. So let me explain what I mean step by step, hopefully in a way that actually makes sense if you've never heard of any of this before. Imagine you're a child. When we're kids, we are basically little humans collecting information. We're constantly watching the world, absorbing it, and learning rules like what gets me praised, what gets me told off, what makes people withdraw from me, what makes people feel safe around me, what makes me feel safe. And our brain is incredibly clever. It's always trying to keep us safe and accepted because as a child, belonging equals survival. So it starts adapting, and it starts adapting us and our personality. If being loud gets you told that you're too much, you subconsciously and unconsciously start to learn to shrink. If crying gets you ignored, you learn to stop crying and stop reaching for comfort. If anger gets you punished, you learn to swallow that anger. That is what our shadows are. It's the oppressed parts of our personality that get hidden by our brain and our ego early on and throughout life, because we learn that it's not okay to feel those things. If achievement gets you love, you learn to become the achiever. If being easy gets you peace, you learn to be the peacemaker. And none of this is conscious. It's not you choosing a personality, it's you learning what version of me is allowed here in society, in family, in survival. And that becomes your default. Then you grow up and you think, this is just who I am. This is just my personality. That's who I am. But it isn't who you are. It isn't who your soul is. It's who you learned to be. And this is where manifestation comes in, because when you want something as an adult, you don't just want it with your conscious mind, you want it with your whole nervous system. And if that nervous system has learnt that they don't deserve what they're manifesting, or they can't receive, or they're not worthy, or they don't believe in themselves, whatever conditioning has been placed upon us subconsciously, that nervous system will remember it. So your mind might be consciously manifesting something that you want, but your body is telling a different story. You can write whatever you want in your journal, but your body is still sending out a completely different signal. And that is all to do with frequency. and what frequency we are vibrating at. The limiting beliefs and the negative thought patterns operate at a low vibrational frequency, and abundance and joy and happiness are high frequency. So here's a really simple example. Let's say someone wants more money. Consciously, they want more money. They're saying it out loud, they're doing the affirmations, they're visualizing it, maybe they've put a lottery ticket on. But if they grew up around stress and scarcity, their system might have learned money disappears, or money causes arguments, or money is hard to come by. People like us don't have that. You have to work yourself into the ground to deserve it or even have it. So even if this person is trying to manifest abundance, their body isn't giving off that energy. It doesn't match the abundance energy or the financial freedom energy, because their energy is literally saying, I don't deserve this. I struggle with receivership. I don't know how to be abundant. It's like trying to tune into a radio station, but you're on the wrong frequency. You can keep turning the volume up, but it still won't come through clearly. And that's how I say it anyway. And I think that this is why some people struggle with manifestation, not because they're doing it wrong, but because they're trying to call something in while their system is still programmed for the opposite. Their energy just isn't in that frequency of what they're trying to attract. And the programming can be really subtle, like receivership. Have you ever been offered something and you've gone, oh no, I couldn't possibly take that? Or someone gives you a compliment and you brush it off, or someone tries to help you and you feel uncomfortable about it. I love that outfit. Where did you get it? Oh, this old thing, or someone compliments your hair and you say, oh gosh, I haven't even done it today. We think that that's being humble or polite, but sometimes it's actually just your nervous system and your programming saying, this feels like too much. So if you're trying to manifest more but you can't comfortably receive, you'll block it without even realizing. And that was one of the biggest realizations for me. Manifestation is less about what you want and more about what you feel safe to receive. And I want to be really clear here. This is not about blame. This isn't your fault. It's just how humans adapt. But this is the good news. And this is why I wanted to do this episode, because we can undo that. We can strip back that programming. We can work on ourselves to get to a higher frequency and an ascended version of ourselves. We can peel back the conditioning. We can be aware of it. We can discover it. We can uncover it. We can acknowledge it. We can learn to integrate our shadows. We can learn to operate at a higher frequency. We can learn to undo the behaviors and the patterns. We can learn to heal. And it's within that shadow work that these epiphanies will start happening, or these remembrances will start happening, where we get back to our soul's true purpose and who we truly are underneath the conditioning. And then once we discover that, we can uncover what we truly desire. So when people talk about shadow work, what they really mean is start noticing your patterns, start noticing your triggers, start noticing what your body does automatically, because those automatic responses show you what you still believe, what your subconscious believes, the limiting beliefs, the negative thought patterns, the negative behavioral patterns, things that you've learned to do, maybe that are toxic or unhelpful. Those automatic responses show you. So here's how you start in a step-by-step way. In my opinion, step 1, notice repeating themes. What comes up in your life? Is it money stress, or feeling like you're behind, feeling like you're not chosen? Maybe feeling like you always have to do everything alone, or feeling like things don't work out for you? Whatever the topic is that's burning in your heart or your soul that you always feel like maybe you should consider, that's your doorway. And then step 2 is catching those thoughts or those behaviors in real time, not when you're calm in your journal. In real life, when something good happens, do you instantly look for what will go wrong? Or when you're about to try something new, do you hear in your head, who do you think you are? Like, this will never work out. When someone gets close to you, do you suddenly want to detach? Those are programs, not personality traits. And step 3, ask better questions. So instead of maybe journaling or sitting with some thoughts and asking, why am I like this? Ask, when did I learn this? What am I protecting myself from? What would happen if I believed the opposite? Because your brain didn't choose these patterns randomly. And step 4, practice a new response gently. So this is where embodiment comes in. So many people, when they are trying to explain how to manifest properly, they always talk about embodying this version of you. And that's correct, but it's not pretending that gets you there. It's actual real life practice. It's saying, okay, I'm noticing I want to push this away. I'm going to breathe and receive it anyway. Or I'm noticing that I want to spiral right now. I'm going to pause and choose a different thought. I'm noticing that I'm about to shrink, and so I'm going to stay present. That is healing in real time. And every time you do that, you shift your frequency. And then manifestation starts to feel less like effort and more like a natural consequence, because you're no longer asking for something outside of your frequency that your system thinks is unsafe. And this is why my manifestations changed. At first, I wanted what I thought I should want. The things that look like success, if I have this, I'll finally feel free stuff. Or I'll finally be successful because I've got a nice car on the drive. But as I peeled back the layers of myself and did the work, I started realizing my soul wanted something else. And the very want for those materialistic things was the conditioning and the limiting beliefs and the programming that society has put on us. My soul didn't want a new car. It wanted clarity and purpose and intuition, peace and real alignment. So my manifestations became more like, I manifest to hear my inner voice clearly. I want to trust myself. I manifest that I will uncover my gift this year, my soul's gift. I want to help people. I manifest to live in truth and alignment. And then they started arriving. And I wasn't even conscious of this pattern change. It just naturally happened. I just naturally started to want different things, and not because I forced it, but because I was becoming the version of me that could actually hold it. I was ascending to higher frequencies that these things were on. Everything has a frequency. Objects, people, thoughts, everything you could possibly imagine has a frequency. And I believe the higher we spiral into ascended versions of ourselves, the higher the abundance is that we can attract. So if you're listening to this and you felt like manifestation doesn't work for you, this is what I want you to take from today. You don't need to try harder. You need to get more honest. Not harsh, not intense, just honest. What do you really believe underneath what you want? What feels unsafe? What feels like too much? What part of you doesn't trust? That's the work. The inner work, the shadow work, the peeling back of the conditioning, of the programming of life's experiences that have layered up on top of our soul to make us think we are this person and we want these things, when actually that is not the case. Start with small steps, peeling all of that away. And slowly but surely you'll start to see the light of your soul coming through. as the layers peel back. And not only will you start to uncover more about yourself and your soul's purpose and what truly makes you happy and brings you joy, but you will start to attract the things that you, as that new version of yourself, actually truly want, and what your soul truly wants. The shadow work doesn't need to be this big scary thing. It can simply just be taking small steps like that, asking questions, sitting with your journal, and then actioning it in real time. And I'll leave you with something really simple to do this week. Write down, what are you trying to call in right now? What do you fear would happen if you actually got it? Where in your life do you struggle to receive? Is it compliments, help, rest, money, love? And what is one tiny way you can practice receiving this week? Because tiny shifts create huge change. This has been Clarity, and I've been Lucy. And if you are here at the beginning with me, then thank you. If this resonated, come back for the next one because I'm going to go deeper and deeper as we go. Thank you.